Hello, this is Skylar, and bringing you the next episode of RobotC for Mindstorms tutorial. So very quickly, once again, as always, the music is by Discord, so check out his SoundCloud and download his stuff. It's pretty cool. And let's get to work. Today we are doing Bluetooth communication, so we'll get started with that. The first thing we need to do is actually sync up the NXT, sync them up together. So I got two NXTs, and the first thing is turn them on. So these are both running the same firmware. I'm not sure if that really makes a difference, but just be aware that if your thing doesn't work, check the firmware on both. Alright, so the names of the bricks are kind of important. It's a little bit hard to see. That's better. So I got Master and Slave, and that should make it fairly easy in this tutorial to figure out what's going on. The Master is sending stuff to the Slave, and later we'll send stuff from the Slave back to the Master, I think maybe. But for now we're just sending from the Master to the Slave. So the Master's the boss. So the first thing that I want to call your attention to is right to the left of the name there is status stuff. Like there it says USB, and that's because this brick is plugged in USB, and the other one's not. And we need to turn Bluetooth on because there's a Bluetooth symbol that should pop up when it's on. And so you're going to go left or right, just along your way around, and get to Bluetooth. And you want to turn both of those on. And turned on, and then it'll say, hey, we're going to turn it on. And you want to make sure your visibility is visible, because that matters. And you can, you got all this stuff. You want to go to the search. And I will use the Master to search for the Slave. And you only have to do it on one. And so this is going to search for everything that it can find that has Bluetooth. And if there's a lot of devices on the network, then it'll take a long time to populate. And so there's Slave, and it's just the name of the other brick, and there's a cell phone on here, but since we're not doing that, we'll just do the Slave, connect, and this right here, the NXT can connect to 3 different devices at once, and this is basically which slot you want to connect on. And so I'll just pick number 2 because it's in the middle, and it's the only even prime number that's bigger than 0, and because I'm a nerd like that. Be consistent with this, and we'll get into this later, but you can think of it as like your second connection, or your second best friend, and or it's something, and this could change. Like, you could connect it on a different channel at a different time, but since I want to connect right now, it will choose whatever I tell it to right here. So I'll pick 2, and it'll connect, and on both NXTs, it'll show a passkey. And the Master defines the passkey. The Slave has to get the passkey that the Master set. And since I'm not really worried about security, I'm just going to hit OK on both since it's 1, 2, 3, 4. And you'll see that here there's a Bluetooth symbol. It's got the B, and it has a diamond. And when the diamond is completed, when it's 4 sides, they are connected. I will show you what happens when I turn one NXT off. On here is now half a rectangle. It's no longer a full diamond. It's half a diamond, and so they're disconnected. That's basically saying, hey, Bluetooth's on, but we're not connected to anything. And right now, that's how we need it to be. And so, Bluetooth's on. They know they have each other as a contact, and just to verify that, and go to Bluetooth, my contacts. This says Master for that, and this says Slave for that. And so that's what we need. Now let's get to the programming. And get out of the Bluetooth menu. There we go. And alright, so programming. We need a Master program to send information and a Slave program to receive it. So go to New, and I'll save the program as not in firmware. I will save it as RobotC, well, just Master B for Bluetooth. Alright, so task main, all that good stuff, and I'll compile the program so that I get the function library. And here's what we're going to do. For RobotC, they make it really, really easy for programming stuff, especially with this function library. I can't stress how important the function library is because it's just so helpful. You go to Bluetooth and you go to intrinsics, and it has a whole bunch of functions that you can just call, and it will automatically send stuff. And so the first thing we need to do is we need to connect the devices. Unless you want to do that every time you start your NXT up, you want to go into that menu and hit connect. I don't like doing that. I want the NXT to do that automatically, and so there is this function called BT Connect, and it attempts to connect BT devices with specified name on a port. And so the port range, that's what we talked about, like when we connected those, it connected them on 1, 2, or 3. That's what this is doing right here. And so I'm going to drag that in, and I need to change this port to what I want it to connect on. I could either use 1, 2, or 3, but I'll just do 2 because that's what I'm going with. And this is the name. And so this is going to run on the master, and it needs the name of the connection or the name of the other device, which is slave. And for yours, it might be something else. But yeah. And then semicolon at the end. So that right here, this program, this connects the master to the slave. And just for kicks, let's try running it and see if it works. Plug that in. It's got connection to USB. Hit F5. This right here is basically saying, hey, this brick isn't the last one I talked to. This is a different brick. And that's because there's 2 bricks. And so just hit OK. It's all right. And get back to UCAM. And I'll go into the file system. And master B, right now, all it should do is connect. And as you can see, the diamond next to the B is complete, and it wasn't before. And so that program worked. That line is A-OK. And let's go in to Bluetooth, and you can look at connections, and slave is right there, and you can disconnect from it if you want. And yeah, so that's there as well. So we can connect the device, but now we want them to actually send useful information. So there is another function. Well, there's a lot more functions, but we'll just focus on one. There is CM message right to Bluetooth, and this right here is the one we want. And I'll explain why in a second. It has data, length, and query ID. The query ID is basically this thing called a mailbox. And what the mailbox are, so you zooming out, you've got your network. Your network has 2 devices or more, and in this case just 2. And they've got their channels, channel 1, channel 2, channel 3, and on that channel we can have a connection between those 2 devices. And so on channel 2, we've got this connection. Now, the master can send information to the slave to a particular mailbox. Each NXT has 8 mailboxes per channel. And so I could send some I could send like some particular information maybe about sensors into mailbox 1, but if I wanted to send a message like, hello, I could do it on mailbox 2. And so it's just mailbox. Oh, well, maybe there's a lot more mailboxes, but yeah, I guess there are a lot more mailboxes. Must have been an update in the firmware. Anyway, so just do mailbox 1, and you want to make sure, like, when the program that's looking for it, it has to be looking at the same mailbox, because otherwise there just won't be anything there. And then PData. PData is special, and what it is, although I suppose you can't really tell from here, it is looking for a unsigned byte array. And so at the top here, I'm going to type ubyte outgoing message and put a square brackets and 2. This right here, if you watch the last 2 tutorials, this right here is a declaration of an array. What that is basically a variable that has a whole bunch of itself. Like it's a ubyte. A ubyte means unsigned byte. It's a variable that can only have positive numbers up to a certain point, and that's all right. That's what the Bluetooth, that's what it wants. This 2 means that there's actually 2 U bytes that are stored under the name of outgoing message, and you can access them by saying which one it is. So like if I want to actually set this to a value, first of all, I could either do that, and it says, alright, the first part is 0, the second part's 0, or I could do like, actual numbers, 56 and 10. We'll just stick with that. And then for pdata, what we say is outgoing message. And it sends the values of outgoing message. Now the length is, how many numbers are there? There's 2. This length, like that number right there, needs to absolutely match that number. That has nothing to do with it. Like, those 2 2s are unrelated. This 2 has to be the same as this 2. Alright, so this sends the message, and semicolon at the end. So yeah, that is like the basic program that sends a message, that connects and then sends a message. So now, let's start another program so that we can actually read the message, because, I mean, if we just did this, I could just say, hey, it works, but you might not believe me, and I want you to believe me, and I want a program to work. So, I'll save this one as, let's save the other one as master B. I'll say slave B. So, slave B, we need, a lot of times what I like to do is make the program symmetrical. Like, obviously, you can't have another command to connect because the master connects, but like this same format is what I want for the slave. So I'll start, this one started with outgoing message, I'll start with ingoing message. So I'll just copy this, paste it in, and change outgoing message to incoming message, just so that, yeah. And since the incoming message will overwrite these values, I'll just leave it blank. That basically just says, hey, there's this array of unsigned bytes, but I'm not going to tell you what they are yet. And so RobotC is all good with that. So task main, inside here, it's already going to connect. But because we want these programs to be versatile, this program is going to need to be different. It's going to have to wait for a response. Like, if we just ran this, then if there wasn't a message, then it would just be like, oh, well, there wasn't a message for me to read. Sad face. I'm done. I'm going to have a while loop, while true, and what it's going to do is it's going to then read the message. And so it's going to keep on running. It's going to keep on looking for new information instead of just looking there one time to see if there was anything and then ending. Alright, so for here there was CCMD message write to Bluetooth. We want a read function, and so we'll go over to the intrinsics of Bluetooth, and there is message read. Here we go. We'll get that in there. pdata, that is where it's going to write the data, and so we want incoming message. N length to read, we want 2. Just like there's 2 here, there's 2 here. And here's the huge big thing. Oh, and this will be mailbox 1. This right here needs to be exactly the same as this right here, as far as the mailbox and the length. And the length of the array you're sending. Because here's the thing. This right here is going to wait until 2 pieces of information have been sent. But if this waited for 4, like if we had the incoming message have 4 parts, and it waited for 4, it will, if we send it, 56 and then 10, this is still waiting for 2 more numbers. And it'll keep on waiting. And so this has to be 2. This has to be 2. This has to be the same mailbox as the master program is sending it to, and this has to refer to a U-byte array of 2. Alright, so, sound good? Cool? Maybe? Possibly? Although I don't know why I'm asking you, because you can't talk to me. Alright, so, this reads the message, and just continues. It just reads it. We'll add a delay so that it doesn't work harder than it has to, like 10 milliseconds. That's a decent refresh time. And we'll display, let's display it to the screen so we can actually show that it's there. So NXT, display that string. We got a line number, we'll choose line 0. Then we got content, and what I'm going to say is message 0 equals And this is just text right here. Like, I could put anything. I could just put, but I want to make it coherent. Message 0 equals, comma, message 0. Oh wait, did I say message? I meant incoming message. And message right there is just for short. Okay, so what I wanted to do is I wanted to actually display message 0 equals and then some kind of a number. And so how I do that is I use modulus D. Modulus D is basically the program's way of saying, hey, whatever comes right after that, whatever this thing right here, display it right there as a whole number. And then, since there are two parts to this message, I mean, that's what it is, and we're sending 56 and 10, I'm going to display message 1 equals message 1. And if this is confusing how I'm using 0 there instead of a 1 there, and like if you don't know anything about arrays, Google it and watch my previous tutorials because, yeah, you'll learn some things. Alright, so that's that part. And so incoming message to mailbox, yeah, that looks all good. So, I'll download master B to the master. And that's downloaded. Now I need to switch my USB connection so that I download the slave program to the slave brick, because if you download the master and the slave to the same program, then the NXT, I don't think it can connect with itself. That would be cool though. I'll download that, and it says, hey, it's a different NXT, is that okay? I'm like, yeah, it's okay. Oh, it says it couldn't find a brick, and maybe that's because the brick was, it fell asleep. Whoops, sorry. So yeah, now the NXT is on, and it's like, hey, it's a different one, and I'm like, okay. Okay, so both programs have been downloaded. So we have a master program that sends one thing at one time, and we have a slave that will listen for an indefinite amount of time. So I'm going to run the slave first, or at least I'm going to start it first. So, oh, I forgot something. On here, we're displaying message 0 equals blah 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 on line 0, and then we're displaying message 1 equals blah 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 on line 0. That needs to change. They needed to be displayed on separate lines, and then we need erase display so that if the value changes, then it actually works properly. So we'll download that code, and okay, so I'll run the program. There we go, 2 lines. I'll turn this NXT on. And let's get on. Right there we have incomplete diamond. That's because it hasn't connected yet, but our code will do that automatically. It'll run. I think it needs a little bit longer to connect. There we go. Now it's connected. Whoops. I think I did something wrong. I will double check everything. We've got the master program. It is connecting to slave on channel 2, and it's going to send outgoing message on mailbox 1. And on here it's looking for incoming message to mailbox 1. It's all good. Just to be safe, I will put the master program in a loop so that it does its part indefinitely. And we'll just put, not delay, thinking of a different language here. There we go. Put that in there. And tab thing so it looks pretty. And I'll download that program to the master. And we'll see what we get. And it's different. Alright, now back to here. Both of these programs are in loops, so they should run. There we go. Just needed it in a loop. And so, as soon as this started running and it found its connection and is sending and sending and sending stuff, this got us values. So that right there is the basics, the basics, with, excuse the pun, of Bluetooth programming in RobotC. And we'll change these numbers. Instead of 56 and 10, we'll send 32 and 1. And I'll download that program. And we can see it here. Starts at zeros. As soon as that connects, 32 and 1. And so, we can basically do whatever we want with these numbers. And just for kicks again, if you want to send more than 2 values, then you can make this number bigger. Let's say we wanted to send 8 values. Now, the thing is, it's not quite as simple as that. Remember, this number right here has to be the same as this number right here, which has to be the same as this number right here, and this number right here. Those 4 numbers must be exactly the same, because if they're not the same, then bad stuff happens, or nothing happens. And so yeah. Now, this is not the only thing. If you hit F7 to compile the program, there's this big X that comes right here, and it says incorrect number of array initialization elements for outgoing message. What it's saying is, hey, what's up? You say this is going to be 8 things long, but here you only have 2 things. And so we have to say, you know, give it more things. So maybe 16, 78, 5, 4. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Just need 2 more, 3, and 0. And we hit the F7, and the error goes away. It's like, yay, we're all happy now. Alright, so that's cool. And then, on the slave, let's actually display all of those. I'm going to basically just copy and paste all of this in, and then it goes 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And here, we want to say 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Alright, and I guess I didn't make a for loop, but previous lesson I talked about how to condense all of this into 3 or 4 lines of code instead of doing all these 8 lines. You can do it that way, but I didn't really think of it before I typed it all out. One thing I want to mention before I end this is the master program, wait 1 MSec, this right here, that is a bigger number than the slave. And the reason why is, like, I did that on purpose, because you don't want to send data faster than you're reading it, because if you send it faster than you're processing it, then it's gonna amass. You're gonna have a whole bunch this buffer that's full of readings that you need to look through, and it basically means that your connection is going to accrue lag. And so you want the master program to send slower than the slave is reading it. And so this could be, you know, 12 or 11, but I'll just make it 15. I mean, it's not really that big of a deal anyway. And so I'll download the master program to the master. It's a good idea. And then I will go to the slave program, unplug the master, plug in the slave, and then we'll download to the slave. And it's like, yeah, it's a different one. Yeah, it's okay. And so now, the master program is going to send 32, 1, 16, 78, 5, 4, 3, and 0. Let's see if that's right. So we got slave program, and they're all zeros right there, and they changed their values. So yay! I guess I keep on coming up with one more thing to talk about. Let's say you wanted to, instead of just sending discrete values that were already written in the beginning of the program, let's say we wanted to make 32, you know, the first one, count up. We could do something like outgoing message 0 plus plus. And plus plus basically means add 1 to it. Outgoing message 0, that means the first part. And yeah, I know 0 isn't the first, but come on. And so outgoing message 0 plus plus. Or I could say outgoing message 0 equals 5. Or equals outgoing message 1 plus 4. Or whatever I want to do. I'll just keep it plus plus. And this will mean that it'll get bigger really fast and it'll truncate, which means it'll reset. But for the purpose of this demonstration, it's alright. So, I'll connect it to the master. Hit F5. Yeah, it's different. We know. And we'll get here, start the slaves, and then I'll start the master. And as you can see, the number on the top is getting really big, and then it resets. And that is Bluetooth communication for the NXT. Thank you for your patience with me not keeping schedule in the past. I had finals, and then I had a job. So I'm actually employed right now and in school. And yeah, so yeah, if you have any questions, send them in the comments. If you have any feedback or anything that you could tell me how to do better, or how I need to improve or can improve, that'd be great. And yeah, next time, guys.